After 20 years of building together through dust, deadlines, and damn good ideas, Pace and Adam invite you to join them for honest conversations about the home building world. Welcome to Build Connected, where experience meets insight, powered by Diamond Home Restoration.
Hey, everybody. We're back. I'm back. I'm fuzzy, though. I'll tell you, vacation. I'm kind of worn out. I feel like I need another vacation, but I'm back from Tahoe. Welcome to another episode of Build Connected with me and Pace.
You know, oftentimes you do. You need a recovery vacation from the vacation. I mean, that's should be in our mission statement. Should be company policy. Like
Yes.
you get a 2-week nice long vacation, and then you need a 3-day recovery vacation.
Yeah, we're going to talk about the 3-day break that I have coming up that I'm going to need. Yeah.
Okay.
You love it.
I'm going to need to get together
like a
my
week.
HR material.
In like a week, not
All
right
right.
away. Well,
Okay. Well, welcome back anyway, and let's get to business.
let's jump in. Okay. We're going to get right into the first topic, which is products that we love, products that we use. Maybe it's a product we don't use, but we want to try. But this one is actually a product that we have used and are continuing to use more and more on our projects. But I'm going to preface this product by talking a little bit about what's happening here in California. And what we're finding is new construction that's occurring in some parts of California. They are restricting gas. So no longer are you allowed to have gas appliances in your home. No longer are you running gas to the house. Everything is moving towards electric. And I think that that's happening on large scale remodels as well. They're instilling that. But it's kind of hit or miss. It's different, I think, in different parts of California. I'm not exactly sure, Pace. I don't know if you know what's going on in different parts, but it's a big deal here in the Bay Area.
Yeah, I believe that every jurisdiction we work in, new houses cannot have gas appliances. And it's coming for remodels very soon.
You know, I get it, but the thing that just sucks about it is a lot of people like those gas fireplaces in their house. I know I do. I mean, look, originally, you know, back in the day, we had wood burning, right, when we were kids. And now, as we've gotten older, things have moved into the gas fireplace. And I've become okay with that. I mean, you're from Maine. Turning on the gas fireplace, I know, was probably hard for you to adapt to. But, you know, what about the people that want just the indoor gas fireplace? Well, I mean, they're coming up with electric fireplaces now. I mean, we haven't dived into any of that kind of stuff, but that's kind of bananas, right?
Yeah, how much happiness can you give up for the good of something, right? Like I think you mentioned that I'm from Maine. I think what you meant is I'm a simpleton, and I get it. But those little creature comforts, you know, like a nice, it's a chilly day in the fall. You get the fire going, or even better, you're sitting around. I guess you can still have a fire pit. Like no one's going to take that away from me. No one.
No, don't think that. I mean, maybe the only advantage to not having a gas fireplace, I know my mom's probably listening to this, is that, you know, when mom comes to visit, you know, you no longer can you turn the gas fireplace on and let it run for 18 hours a day. You know, it'll save me some money of gas. Love you, Mom.
That's going to be its own episode, that whole story.
Well, anyway, you can see the dilemma here with the no gas thing. I mean, I can get used to the other appliances, but I want my gas fireplace. But let's talk about the product that I wanted to talk about, and that would be water heaters, but in particular, heat pump water heaters. So we have these electric heat pump water heaters that we are now replacing old water heaters with. They're really efficient. And the way these systems work, they kind of work like a refrigerator, but in reverse, right? It pulls heat from the surrounding air and transfers it into the water in a storage tank instead of directly creating heat by burning gas or fossil fuels. So that's kind of a heat pump water heater in a nutshell. So air is pulled in through a fan. The refrigerant coil absorbs the heat from the air And then a compressor increases the temperature of the refrigerant, and the heat is transferred into the water tank through a heat exchanger. And the now cooled air is exhausted back into the room. So um, that can be an advantage or a disadvantage in itself. And maybe we'll tell you some of the pitfalls that we encountered through installing these because of that cooled air that comes out. But yeah, they're fantastic units. We highly recommend them. We want to put them in. Pace, you have one in your house, super efficient. They are more expensive than your traditional water heater. And depending on the size of your heat pump water heater, different amounts of electricity are required. So depending on how much room you have in your panel, you may need to upgrade the panel. You might need to add additional circuits. That's for your plumber or heating professional to decide. But these are definitely something you should be considering if you need to change your water heater out.
Yeah.
If you're in a warm climate, it's basically an air conditioner. It's blowing cool air out of these units. There's condensation that happens as well. So the condensation needs to be captured and pumped out into a drain somewhere. But we installed one of these in a closet for a client of ours. And it's important to know that you need a sufficient amount of cubic feet in your closet to accommodate these heat pump water heaters. But this, the closet that we put it in, we have a high and a low vent in the door, and the cool air that was coming out of this heat pump water heater was coming out of those louvers of the door, and it was cooling the hallway near the kitchen in our client's house, and it was cold, really cold. So we did mitigate that by direct venting the heat pump water heater outside, and no longer was the cold air blowing inside. So some of these do have kits where you can exhaust the air outside, but just something to consider is that cold air that comes off of these units. Do you want to utilize that air in a certain space, or do you want to push it outside? But that's the big gist. Big energy savings, low carbon footprint. They're nice units to have.
Yeah, I think that you covered a lot there. I
Whew.
wanna correct one word.
Uh-oh.
You're using the word heat. It's pulling heat out of the air, surrounding air. I'm going to say it's pulling energy out of the air.
Ooh,
It's a
energy.
better word. A lot of people get confused by the word heat, because it
As you say,
implies
pace, you always say words matter.
words do matter, Adam. That's right.
Yeah.
But it's pulling energy out of the air. And so even though it might be cold, you can still pull energy out of the air. Unless you're at absolute zero, and we're not there.
Well, that's
I've had
important.
one.
These do work. These do work in cold environments, right? I mean,
They do.
yeah.
So I've got two of them. I have one in Maine that I've had for a few years, and I love it. I absolutely love these things. But just to put a little context to it, mine in Maine is in a basement, and when we're using it, when there's heavy use, I'm saying that it's cooling down the basement by maybe 5 degrees. So in the wintertime, that can be uncomfortable. The one here in California is in a garage, and there's a lot of air that comes and goes through the garage door. So I don't really notice the impact here. But they are awesome units, and yeah, I love mine.
Yeah, you should look into rebates too, because there are always rebates for these things. It seems like, I think in California, there's rebate programs. I think it's called Tech Clean California or something. And your local utilities can be $1,000 to $3,000 toward an installation, but it just depends on where you are. But definitely look into those rebates and check them out.
Yeah, good
But
stuff.
yeah.
All right, this week I'm gonna jump into something vulnerable,
Ooh.
something that's difficult to talk about. An accident. We had an accident last week on one of our jobs. Contractors don't really like talking about this stuff, but we're not afraid. So here we go. And let me start maybe by a little side story just to ease my way into it. Our last accident on a job site, I think, was about 15 years ago. We had a lumber delivery truck backing into a driveway, and One side of the truck went off the shoulder of the driveway and the truck rolled. The entire lumber delivery went into the neighbor's yard and did a lot of damage to the landscaping and stuff. Nobody was hurt. But it's been a long time since we've had an accident where there was damage to the property. But last week we were doing our concrete pour on one of our jobs, and wow, the concrete pump truck was parked on an incline driveway, and we had the tires blocked and stuff, parking brake on, started pumping, and the parking brake on the truck snapped. This is a big F-350 with a pump behind it. It let go, and the truck rolled down the driveway and smashed into the garage. The garage is up on stilts. It's about 30 feet up in the air, and it didn't go through that back wall, but it could have, and it could have plunged down a cliff. Nobody was hurt, and it was just, it was a bad day, right? And so we have to take that moment, right? And we have to, we have to turn the corner, right? We have to assess the damage. We're thankful, obviously, that more damage wasn't done and people weren't hurt. But then we've got to put things together for the homeowners. We have to make things right. And, one thing that always enters my mind is a great quote from MLK. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. And, this is one of those moments where, you're down and, nobody wants to come out of pocket and pay for stuff that's not the job. But this is our responsibility as contractors. And so just stepping up and doing the right thing and making sure that all the personal possessions are replaced and we do our best to make things right, it's the order of the day, if you will. But it was a tough day, and we got through it. But nobody wants accidents on the job site.
Yeah, that was tough. I mean, I was on vacation when that happened, and you were holding down the fort and called me about that situation. And it was, yeah, I could feel the intensity. And it's been a little bit of time since that's happened. I guess it's been a week now. But we did get lucky, right? The pump that was on the back of the truck, somehow it went through the actual garage door itself and didn't touch a piece of framing. So that was lucky. And then the homeowner had his camping stuff on different shelves and sleeping bags by the back wall, and heck, probably created just enough cush to stop it from going through the back wall. So man, talk about getting lucky. No structural damage, just a little bit of damage to some of his personal things that we were able to replace and some shelving. But yeah, that was you definitely persevered through that one, and we learned from everything. Just when you think you've got things put in place for safety, now that you experience some of these things in life, you don't overlook anything. But life is a learning lesson, as we know. So
yeah, it was
forward.
rough. There's a lot of people on a day, on a concrete day, right? You've got multiple people handling, like, in this case, we had a couple 100 feet of hose, and we're pumping to pier locations on a hillside. So we've got like maybe 3 people on the kind of the hose and the end of the hose. And then we've got a pump operator with the remote down the hillside. I was actually underneath that garage when it happened, and it sounded like a freight train, just coming through. It was scary. And then you got, the concrete truck operator and special inspectors, doing tests up where it actually occurred and actually saw it all kind of unfold. But as a general contractor, like I just think that your responsibility is to be calm in those moments, and just you've got to sort out what happens next. So you got all those people there, And obviously we can't pour at that point. So just releasing the inspector, releasing the concrete truck, getting everything cleaned up. You just really need to give good direction, I think, in those moments. And it's a lot, and it's not for everybody. But it was a hard day, and we made it through.
Yeah, I mean, maybe just to paint the picture for you all, if you're not familiar with how the concrete pumping works, is you have, like Pace said, this F-350 that pulls a trailer, and mounted on top of that trailer is a giant pump. And the concrete truck pours the concrete into the pump, and that pump has a hose that's attached to it, and that hose goes to wherever you're doing your pour. So, yeah, that pump was full of concrete with all that weight, and it spilled all over the place. So, yeah, there was a lot of cleanup and taking care of that. But you took care of business, Pace, and everything is cleaned up, and all the things have been replaced, and we've got a garage door on order. And it's also about having good quality subs that you can trust, and our concrete guy is taking care of all of the damage as well. And obviously we're there to pick up any slack if need be. So it's nice to have people that you know and trust, and that are part of our family, that we know will do the right thing. So that's important for us as well.
That's just it. Stepping up and making things right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get out of that. Let's get out of that memory
Whew.
and move into
Yeah,
something
wow.
fun on the job site.
Fun on the job site. Discovery phase is over. All the framing is done. Sheetrock, we're kind of in the finishing stages. And, you get to that point where the juices are starting to flow with the homeowner, right? They're excited. They're seeing things come together. They know that there's not any change order stuff coming down the pipe because of unforeseen things. And so they get to that point where they had some things on their wish list that weren't part of the original scope, and they want to add things onto the project. So add-ons is kind of what we're dealing with right now. But by dealing with, I mean we're having fun with, right? This is the fun part for homeowners, whereas they have some items on their list, and we create kind of an a la carte list of these things and put prices to them, and they can pick and choose if they want to add these things on. So right now we have 4 items that we're discussing on this project, and they're small things that can really spruce things up for them and bring joy to their lives and their homes. So, I guess it's just something worth talking about because it happens on all projects, really. I think, you get to the end and either you realize there's a couple more things you want to tackle, or maybe the budget is maxed out. But, yeah, you get to the point.
I think that's one of those things that comes with trust, right? You've made it through the tough stuff. And, like you said, homeowners can start to see like how their home has been transformed. And, these maybe other nagging items that are in a different part of the house. It's a good opportunity to take advantage of us while we're on site and, just fix them. So you're right. We find ourselves doing it, I think, on most jobs at the end. And it is fun. It's not the original scope. It's just, it's kind of putting a bow on things.
Yeah. What are some of the items we're talking about? People want to know.
Well, I think that, like a lot of people have like a fire, you mentioned fireplaces earlier.
Yeah.
So a very dated fireplace in this case, kind of a brick fireplace. So kind of dressing it up, new mantle, right? Making it maybe a little more contemporary than it is currently. So we're going to give some love. We'll just talk about one. And, one of them's the fireplace. So a zhuzhing up the fireplace.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dang, there we go. We did it again. Another.
What is this? What is this? Oh, no, you didn't.
Yeah.
I think I just did. I just did.
Sometimes that happens. Sometimes it comes out. I don't know.
Okay. Well, anyway, that was a pretty good week. We gave you a little bit of fun, a little bit of vulnerability, and Adam's back from vacation, and that's a good thing. So thanks for joining us again. I'm Pace.
I'm Adam.
See ya.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on Build Connected. For more stories, insights, and ideas, visit diamondhomerestoration.com or find us on Instagram and LinkedIn. We'll be back next week. We hope you will too.